Dear GranBlue Fantasy Rises players, how about letting me know how active is the matchmaking in the game right now? Steam chart says about 1,000 people on PC or 1,100, and that's only half as much as your Strive is doing, and I know Strive is not that particularly active compared to what I like. So it doesn't give me the biggest hopes, but you never know. I really wish the game was on sale, because paying $75 for something that's that unsure. I'm surprised the numbers are that low, because it seemed like every content creator that I follow switched from playing DBFZ to playing GranBlue Fantasy vs. Rising for quite a few months, though many of them have switched off now back to like Street Fighter or Tekken. But you know, there are so many things about the game I see that are interesting. I played the demo, and it had a few like things that certain characters looked really interesting to me that I was allowed to look, even of the 4 that I was allowed to look at, and others that I've seen elsewhere, like in the arcade mode as opponents. And also, they did one thing that just like fucking tickled me. Like, it just tickled me, man. It really got me. I have always wanted to play. Actually, let me back up. In Street Fighter 6. Heck, let me back up even further. In Dragon Ball FighterZ, I hated that they had this thing called Luck of the Draw, but not in ranked. They had this thing called Luck of the Draw, but it was only for arenas. Let me reword that. I hated that they only had this thing called Luck of the Draw in arenas and not in ranked mode, because Luck of the Draw was basically where your team was picked randomly. Okay, so one thing I loved when I switched to Street Fighter 6 was that they had a random select you could go into ranked mode as. Okay, because I love learning all the characters, and I love kind of being able to play them randomly if I want to. Right now I've got a Gold 5 random on my account in Street Fighter 6, and I can play every single character in Dragon Ball FighterZ. So, I don't know the exact number of characters that GranBlue Fantasy has, but they have something that is so awesome to me. In fact, a little quick history lesson, going a little further back. I never actually played Street Fighter 5, other than after 6 came out, I downloaded it for PlayStation Plus's. PlayStation Plus had like a deal where you could get it for free if you did the second package, like beyond the, you know, other than the basic package, there are 2 others, whatever the one right above basic is called. I got that one. It was able to play Street Fighter 5 just long enough to try like Balrog and one other character, but 5 had something that if I had played it back in the day, I would have played a lot, which was a guy named 11, who was basically a character that represented random, but it was more random than random, in the sense that 5 had like V trigger and V skill. So you would pick your character, your V trigger, and your skill, which made a combination of like multiple. Each character had a combination of multiple things, because you could be like the character plus skill A and trigger B, or skill A, trigger A, skill B, trigger B, skill B, trigger A, etc., right? Well, 11, the character, was a true random that gave you the character plus a random trigger and a random skill from that character. Okay, well, I've always wanted to play something like that. Random select to Street Fighter 6 was the closest that I've ever came, but there were always certain problems with that, certain things that, like, if I were designing a game that I would do differently. And one of those things was, just because you want to play random doesn't necessarily mean you wish you could play random out of every single character. Like, it'd be nice if you could eliminate 1 or 2, or just, even if you wanted to make it randomly between 2 or 3 people. Like, it should be up to you, right? And also, I've always thought it sucked that if you went into a set with somebody, you were locked into your character. Because if you're playing random, in my opinion, you should switch characters between matches. Well, GranBlue takes care of both of those things, because random can literally be selected. You can tick off these boxes And first of all, Random is a character in the game called like Lucina, and basically she represents sort of like a doppelganger situation. She draws stuff, and her drawings come to life, and they are basically a random select. But you can pick the boxes all the way basically down to like one character, and then all the characters and anything in between. So in the Street Fighter 6, what I've always wished I could do is basically go between like Zangief, Jamie, Dawson, Blanca, Honda, and then maybe if I'm in the mood, Ryu, JP, something like that. And then every now and then just throw in some of the others into the mix. But, you know, Guile, etc. But like for the most part, I keep it between my 5 or 6, 7 or 8 favorites. GranBlue, Fantasy Rising versus whatever it is, would let me do that. Okay, so I can literally choose which characters are part of my random. And I think that is amazing. That is so freaking cool, man. And it lets you choose whether you want your character to be locked in for the set or randomized each match, which is another thing I have always wanted to do. So that alone really, really, really makes me want to play the game, despite the fact that it has many flaws in it that I don't like. For example, there's no air dash. You know, for a game that feels closer to Guilty Gear than Street Fighter, I hate the fact that it does not have an air dash. Even in the little bit I was playing against the computer, I kept trying to like air dash. And I was like, oh wait, this game doesn't have an air dash. And that's why I was enjoying playing this one character. I can't remember his exact name. It's like, not Beelzebub, but the other guy. It was the avatar version of this other guy. He was like a devil guy. And he had a dive kick move. And I wanted, well, actually, Beelzebub had a dive kick move too. But something like that just gave you a little bit of a feel of having an air dash, or at least something air movement. But so it's not a perfect game. But like my biggest concern is the whole 1,100 people playing. So, yeah. What do you guys think? Is that many people playing?